Hi, and welcome to today's video where I have my beauty empties. So it's my makeup and fragrance empties for 2024. I've got all the items in front of me and I shall go through them. I'll try and do it in some semblance of order here. So I'm going to start off first with nails. So I've just got the one extra strength nail polish remover from Sainsbury's, which is okay. It was getting a little old. It does have it is for acrylic, so it does have extra strength. So what is in it? Acetone, so it's an acetone type. So I did use one of them. I've got another that's on the way out. My polishes are as follows. I've got one of, I thought I'd use more of the Orly Wonder Rubber Bond. So that's a bonder which goes on as a base coat. That is my favourite one because I have great difficulty getting polish to stick to my nails, because as they grow from their attachment from the nail bed, as they grow, they become very, very flexible. So this is the best one. In fact, I do like Orly polish as my favourite nail polish. For top coat, I like the Sally Hansen Insta Dry. It's really good. I enjoy it, and it's inexpensive, and it does dry quickly, and it does give a very high shine. Then for polishes, I've been using quite a number this year, but the ones I've got through earlier on this year was a Boots Barry M, and it's called Enchanted, which was a limited edition from 2 or 3 years ago. And then I have from Maybelline 301 Love the Sweater, and again this is 2 or 3 years old, and this stayed on my nails really well, so I was very, very pleased with this colour show 60 seconds, and it is in a warm toned pink. Yeah, so there you go. Now the next category I'm going to go on is I'll go on to primers. So for primers I've got quite a few here. There's one full size and the rest aren't, but I still am quite pleased with my progress. So the full size one I used over summer, I think, was the Illuminated Primer SPF 15 from Monu Skin. I think this is a white label company, in that I'm not sure whether the products are their own. The packaging is always quite tacky, but some of the items are reasonably good. So I did enjoy this primer. It was more of a moisturiser than a gripping primer, but yeah, it was white, cream, lotion, and it was fine. So that was finished up, and that one I think is a 30ml. I used up 2 Laura Mercier, one in the old packaging, one is the Radiance, and then the other is, it doesn't say, but I think it is the Hydrating. It could be the Smoothing, it doesn't actually say. It's one that doesn't say which type, it must be her original. And then this one is the Radiance. And yes, they were nice. I do like Laura Mercier's primers. Then I have one by Nude by Nature, which is an Australian brand. This was 15ml. It had a base tint as well, a very slight tint. It was okay. It didn't do anything remarkable, but it was a bit glowy. Then we have by Terry Hyaluronic Primer, and that was all right. It's a white cream. It only had a few mils, so not much really to test. And then my favourite primer is by Jane Iredale, and it's Smooth Affair. This isn't generally sold in the UK. You can get it online, but it is quite expensive, around £47, something like that, for 30ml, or maybe 50ml, but it is expensive. But that is very good at smoothing and hydrating, so it does improve the appearance of the skin whilst you've got makeup on. And I can't say how long it holds makeup, because I don't have a big problem of makeup breaking down per se, or the base makeup breaking down, but I did enjoy it, and I've had several of these, and I would hopefully be picking up a full size one at some point. Then I'm going to move on to foundations, or foundation type products. I've got 2 IT Cosmetics CC creams, and they are both in the shade Fair. Now this is the original shade Fair, which was quite a neutral shade and very pale. It is now quite an orangey tone, yellowy orange, but this is the original, and I have finished 2 of these this year. In addition, I finished up earlier on in the year an Instant Moisture from Kiko, which was fine, a little yellow on me. I wouldn't say it was long wearing, but it was fine. It's a light to light medium coverage. And from Primark PS Glow Foundation in Porcelain. Again, it's to mimic one of the Armani foundations. This was fine, not a particular favourite. Yeah, it was just okay. I could make that work quite well. And then one of my favourites is the CYO Long Lasting Life Proof, which is discontinued. It was sold at Boots, and it is I think it's 101, which is a very neutral beige, absolutely lovely. And I have another one on the go because I did buy them up as they were being sold off, I think around 2019 or 2020. And finally, this was completed earlier on in the year. It is Max Factor X Miracle Pure, and it's a foundation with hyaluronic acid and vitamin C. I don't particularly like it. It's quite greasy. It's not easy to set down, and the colours are very, very odd. This was the ivory was better than the porcelain. The porcelain, although it was lighter at 30, actually ended up being orange, and this was more beigey. But I can't particularly recommend this line. I think it's just a very, very greasy mess, really. But I was able to make it work. So they're all the base products. Then for correctors, I have used 2 colour correctors. I've got the first one I used up was by Becca, the Under Eye Brightener, and this was a salmony pinky colour. Now I had it in its pot, and I did break it open midway through 2023 and finished it up midway through 2024. Unfortunately, I think it had gone off because it started to irritate the eyes, and I didn't know what I thought it was. The sun, I think it was this. So I have finished it off. Smashbox now have the Becca Smashbox eye corrector or eye brightener, which is the same product, I believe. The only thing I will say, it is pretty greasy. So if you have anything but very dry skin, you might not like it. But it's not one that I would repurchase with Smashbox. I think there are other formulas which I certainly preferred anyway, such as the Bobbi Brown. Next I have Boing. I thought this was a full size, but I believe it's a half size at 1.6 grams, sorry. I finished this up towards the end of this year, and it's shade number 1. So it is a pinky salmony shade, perhaps a bit more beige undertone as well. That was fine, although it had a foil on, because I'd had it 2 or 3 years before I used it, because I only open one at a time. It did dry out within 2 or 3 weeks, but I was able to make it work by adding oils to it. A dry oil, so it wouldn't, a face oil, so it wouldn't make it too emollient. But it was fine. I would use it again, but I wouldn't go out of my way and buy it. Then for setting sprays, I've got 4. I did use 5. I think one of them was a Primark one, which was okay. It was more of a watery type. So I used up an Illamasqua that was in, I think it was in my project pan. And this was a setting spray, 100ml. It does actually have some ability to set makeup down. It's not just a refreshing spray. It does say it's a setting one, and Hydra that it's moisturising. It was fine. I have a dewy one from NYX. It's fine, but it does have the scent of hairspray, so it is one that's an alcohol based type. It was fairly good. I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way and buy that one again. Then 2 that I used up recently, I acquired this in the summer of 24. This is the Laura Mercier Translucent Pure Setting Spray 16 hours. I don't think it has any alcohols in, but it doesn't really, it acts like water. It sprays like water, but it does leave a film on the skin, and it makes the skin feel a little tight, but it doesn't actually help with wear time. So it's a very odd product. I didn't like it. It generally has very poor reviews, and I got it in a beauty box, and I can understand why. And finally, I've got by Pixie, by Petra, Skin Treat in the Glow Mist. This was lovely because it's a biphase oil and water. So you mix it up, spray it, and it does leave a lovely, dewy, refreshing pep to the skin. The only thing I wasn't keen is, although it has propolis and argan, it also has I think it's alpha hydro. It certainly has exfoliators in, chemical exfoliators. So I'm not too happy about that, because I already exfoliate my skin. I don't need more. But hopefully it didn't penetrate the makeup, but it did help keep the surface of the skin looking dewy, if you know what I mean. So if they had one that didn't have any active exfoliators, I would certainly get the Pixie one. If they did one, because it was absolutely lovely. Then I'm going to, where shall I start? I think I'll go on to, I'll start here. I'll go on with an eyeshadow primer. I used one from NARS. It's quite nice. It's a mini. I don't generally use them. I use them now and again. But this is one that I've had several times. I keep getting them in beauty boxes, etc. But this is quite good. What I will say is I generally put it once I've put foundation down, because it's not very opaque, this. So if you put an eyeshadow that isn't very opaque, you can see the veining on my eyes. So it's not the best for that. So I generally use it once I put foundation powder, and then I will put this on, leave it to dry, and then start putting my eyeshadows on. And it works well. So I've got another one that I'm going to be using starting pretty soon. Then for this eyeshadow, this is a really old one. It's so old. It's by Karen Millen, and she has not been doing eyeshadows in a long time. And this was a bone-coloured matte shadow that was really good for setting. I opened it and used it fairly quickly. It was one that I had in storage, and that was very, very lovely shadow, lovely quality, made in the UK, but obviously it is no more. Then I have a Clinique quad, and I finished that up. It was a sample set that you get as a gift with purchase. There were peaches, and a copper tone one, and then ivories and a beige, and I got that all used up. I used it up partially as a highlighter, brow highlighter, and then eyeshadows. So yeah, I'm glad to have that finished. I've got a couple of products for the cheeks. I've got Laura Mercier in Ginger. This is a mini. It's 2 gram. I mean, a lot of full sizes are 2 gram, but this is finished. So this was a lovely shadow, nice finely milled. It did pigment well. You could put it on sheer and it would build up on itself very well. I really like this tone. It is an orangey tone, a bit of a tawny orange with an orange with a bit of brown in, and I thought it was really, really nice. I also used up Iconic London Sheer Blush in 12.5ml. I wouldn't reuse this one because it was pink, but I did use it with a bronzer that I needed. If I needed to pinken a bronzer up, I would use that. It's a lovely product. I just don't like the rose, and I got this in a beauty box. But if I get it again in this shade, I will pass it on. But if I got it in the peach version, I would give it a try. Then moving on to what have I got here? Oh, I've got a highlighter, just one highlighter from Becca and Colour, Becca Champagne Pop, and it took me years to use this, but it's now all gone. Then let me just think what I've got here. I've got a few things mixed up, I think. Anyway, for eyeliners, I've got one from Stila, and it's a taupe colour. That was very nice. I enjoyed it. The only thing is, once you wind up, you can't wind it back down again, but it was a lovely shade. I do love the taupe, and it was lovely and creamy, but I'm not sure if that's available anymore. And then I've got Black Magic by Ico Cocoa Edit. It was a bit reddish in tone for me. I prefer a cooler tone brown, but I did manage to use it all up, and a little went a long way. So certainly this Ico product lasted many, many months. And then I've got a small Marc Jacobs, which was a gel liner, really good quality. I hear Marc Jacobs is on the way back. Some say he's released some new products. I've not seen any, but it's been promised for the last 2 years he would come back. He really wasn't big in the UK. I think he was only available in one store, maybe Harrods, perhaps, or Harvey. I think it was Harrods. So I could never see it in person. I hope he does a proper rollout in the UK. Because I know that he has some hero products, and that is one of them. And then I've got a little eyeliner. I'm not sure, I have written down who it's from, but it's a little waterline liner, and this one was particularly nice. I think it may be Maybelline, and it was really, really nice. No, L'Oreal, it might have been a L'Oreal. Then on to brows. I've got a lot of brow products. So I've used up by BBB, I think it's Brow Bar London, a clear brow gloss. So it's supposed to gloss and hold. It glossed, but it didn't hold at all. I got this in a beauty box. I'm just trying to get it out earlier on this year and started it fairly quickly. It's not a favourite because it's too flexible. So you had difficulty placing because it just wanted to move around a lot because the handle is too long. and flexible, and it didn't want to hold, so I don't rate this at all. Obviously, if you're using other products to hold, you could use it as a glosser, but I just think you're layering too many things on the brow potentially. So no, I don't like this product at all. Then there is by Iconic London a liquid silk, and again it's similar. It was better than the Brow Bar London, but I don't think it did much. Regardless, this was supposed to add shine and also help keep the brows in place. And it didn't have a tint, but obviously from colouring my brows with pencil, it did change the clear colour in here. So it was able to get a few months out of it. It was fine, but didn't do any great hold, and really that's its purpose. So I know to avoid Iconic London as well as Bar Brow London. Then I have Gimme Brow, which is a tint. I got this in shade 1, which was a really good match, which is their lightest blonde. And this was good for filling in the brows, fluffing a bit, and adding a bit of hold. So I did enjoy using this. It sounds as if there's some in, but there isn't. It is quite dried out. But I really do like Benefit products, and this is one that I have used on many occasions. I got this in a beauty box, and it happened to be in a shade I could use. Lovely. I've then on to one I've finished just the very, very end of the year. It is one I got in a set mid-year, and it is the 24-hour brow setter from Benefit in a mini size. Didn't like this at all, in that it's supposed to be a setter that holds the brows. It didn't do anything. It really didn't. So this is the one product from Benefit that I'm very disappointed in, but I got it in a set for a few pounds, so it doesn't matter. For tints only, I have a Brow Bar London Ultra Slim Brow Definer. This was nice. I got this in a beauty box, and it was too dark. It was too warm and darker brown, but I could make it work by doing very fine lines on it. Nice texture. It stuck to the skin well, as you would expect, as this is a brow company that actually does in-store treatments, so it was good, just the wrong shade. Then I've got from Max Factor their big chubby brow pencil. That's where I'm up to. I did use as much as I could. The issue with that is it did lay down colour, and it stuck to the skin and to the brows, but it was very big, so you couldn't get any precision. So I was able to use it. You got a lot of product, and it is inexpensive. I think it may now be discontinued, but yeah, it wasn't quite as fine as I would like. Then I have two other pencils, which I bought earlier on this year when I was running out of my Brow Bar London pencil. So I got Mina, which is a Spanish brand available in Superdrug in the UK, and it's 554. It is the second lightest of the eyebrow pencils, and it was a little dark. So next time I will go to their fairest one, which is a bit yellow tone blonde. This was really nice. It was creamy. It stuck fairly well to the skin. Not as good as Benefit's products, but it did stick fairly well, and it was creamy without being too creamy. So that was a hit with me because it's fairly inexpensive at around £12 or £13. Then I got from Essence their Super Last 24. It's similar in tone to the Mina, but very creamy. So it glided over the skin and didn't want to stick to the brows or to my skin at all. I think because I moisturised the face, I suspect if you put rubbing alcohol over the brows and then applied this, it would stick better, but I'm disinclined to do that. But it's inexpensive, it did the job, but it's not one that I would, if I had a choice of others, would I choose to buy this. But like I say, it's inexpensive. Then moving on, I've got my mascaras. I do like, but don't always have a lash serum or lash base. So I got one of this towards the end of the year, used it, and it only lasted a month because it was dried out, but the product itself was really good, and it has been discontinued. It is Max Factor Volume Boosting Primer. Very, very good, and I liked this spoolie. But it was bitty when I bought it. It had already gone off, and I got it from an online distributor that, one of these stores like, I can't think with Notino, that does have end-of-line products. And like I said, I was able to use it. I'm sure it would have been good when it first came out, and I'm going to look out for another Max Factor one, but it's the only one I finished this year. Then I went through quite a lot of mascaras. I've got from Estee Lauder Sumptuous Extreme. This is quite a wet one. I did need to open it and dry it out a bit, meaning open it up, take the wand out, tried it, didn't work, put it back in, sealed it up again tightly and left it for a couple of months, and then I opened it again. So with this, it's a very basic mascara. It doesn't do an awful lot. Unlike this one, it's an other namesake, Sumptuous Rebel. Now the Sumptuous line is supposed to give more body than the standard one, which is in a navy tube with a gold lid, but I don't find it does anything. But the Sumptuous Rebel, which only comes out now and again every few years, is really, really nice. In fact, this may have been the first launch in the last couple of years. This was absolutely wonderful in that it did everything. It lengthened, it volumed, and it was light on the eyebrows. So certainly I would try and get hold of this again. Otherwise, I don't really rate the Estee Lauder brows. They're just very, very basic. But you do get a lot of product in them, I will say. Then I've got by Terry, the hot croissant, as in haute croissants, I think it is. And this is a mini, and it was fine. It did quite a good job. It was a basic one. I can't say it did any great in terms of lengthening or volume, but it was fine. Then I have, what else? What's here? Oh, I've got a Christian Louboutin, and I got that with a purchase of some perfume at a counter. It is the Lift Ultima. Yes, it was good at lifting. It was nice. It didn't have a stopper, so basically it opened straight up into a tube, so really you only had a few days of trial usage out of it. It could have been better, but it is a nice mascara. I'm not sure I'd go and buy it at full price, but I would gladly use it again. And then I've got some by Benefit. I've got Bad Girl Bang, which was fine. I think I quite like the Bad Girl Bang. It's supposed to be a volumizing type of mascara with a big wand. But it isn't actually as big as I thought it was, but it is one of those plastic ones which I quite like. I like a plastic wand. So this was one that was quite a nice mascara. I think it could get clumpy, but I was just careful. I applied it in very thin layers, but I did enjoy that. Then I have Their Real Mascara, which is waterproof. That's a nice basic mascara. It's quite buildable, and you can get quite extreme lashes out of it. And again, it's got a plastic wand, which I like. I do like Benefit mascaras. And then I've got Roller Lash, which is the one I like the least because it does leave the brows quite crispy, in my opinion. It does add curl, I believe, and a lot of people like it. And again, I like this type of plastic wand. But for me, it was too crispy, and my eyelashes are naturally curly anyway. So that's my least favourite, but I would use it if I got it again. I've finished a beauty blender. I tend not to use many beauty blenders now because they do absorb a lot of foundation, particularly for expensive foundations, and I've gone over to a brush, but I do love this product. It's my favourite, and of sponges, and I do have more in stock. So this is the Louboutin packaging or the advertisement for it. Then I shall go on to lips. So what I've used up is 3 lipsticks. I've got a Becca one, which I used up early on in the year. They've obviously gone out of business, and I wanted to use up my Becca products. Then I've got a very old Urban Decay. This was my favourite for a long time in terms of lipstick, Firebird, and I've actually be getting rid of another one because when they did it in their own packaging, they changed the formula. It didn't have the flashes of blue. This was a multichrome. Really, they got rid of the multichrome element, and it became quite boring. Just a standard pink, a bright pink, albeit a bright pink. So I was glad I finished this because it was old and it was with Gwen Stefani. Loved it. Now all gone. Going on to skin tints, I've got a couple of lip tints. I've got Dr. Lip tint, and it was a beetroot red. It's got beetroot in. Absolutely wonderful for the lips. If you have dry lips and you want a little bit of colour, this is absolutely beautiful. So I really do like Dr. Lip for dry lips as a balm. And then I've got another lip balm from Charlotte Tilbury that was out a few years ago. I got it on its second launch. It's like putting a plastic crayon on your lips. It does nothing. It certainly it did come to very poor reviews. I got it, it's like a see-through-y, semi-transparent purpley shade. But what I will say, it gave little colour and it was quite drying on the lips, and it was like rubbing a plastic artificial false, like a children's toy lipstick on the lips. It just didn't want to deposit anything, so it's not one that I would recommend. And then finally, I've got lip glosses. I've got one I got earlier in the year in a gift with purchase. It's Fenty. I've never tried them before. I really like this. It's the Fenty Glass Bomb, and I don't know what shade it was though. Fenty Glow 01. Really like this. It's slick on the lips. It's not too tacky, and it's not goopy. It's lovely. And I know that this isn't the standard packaging. I think it's normally hexagonal, but this was obviously as a gift with purchase or a beauty gift, and I think it was in a beauty box. But absolutely lovely. A wonderful formula for me, and I know a lot of people do love this formula, so I will be buying more. I know she does a hot version, which I think has some sort of either menthol or chili powders that are to plump the lips, but I would get the standard. This is the standard one. I've not tried the chili. Then I've got one lip liner. I am using a lot of lip liners, but it's the only one that I've finished. I'm not sure who this is by. I think it might be a Revlon. Does it say? No, it's an Essence. That was quite hard on the lips, quite firm, but I managed to use it up. I've got another lipstick by Tarte, and it's the Rainforest of the Sea in Tolade. I think it's called Tolade. Absolutely lovely. Love this colour. Quite comfortable for a matte formula, but these are no longer sold. And then finally, I've got an Estee Lauder Plum. I like this doe foot. They've now gone to a long, thin, wavy brush, which I don't like at all. So I don't really like the current brand new lip glosses because of the wand. But the formula is quite nice. A bit sticky and a bit opaque. But if you want something that's opaque, this is fine. It doesn't glide too much out around the lip line, which is good because generally dark lips, they can smear everywhere. But I did enjoy that. And then finally, I've got fragrances. So I've got one that I've not counted here because it was not mine. It was Mr. Bear's, but he used up a Shea and Blue Black Club Leather, which is absolutely beautiful. Leather, ambery, woodsy, incensey sort of fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous. And I have bought him another one of these and a full bottle for Christmas 24. I used this earlier on in the year. It was in my project pan. It's Estatique by Balmain Paris, and it was the only fragrance they had for a number of years. In the last 2 or 3 months, they have released their own fragrant ranges. Very expensive, very beautiful. I think there's 6 or 8. I've tried them and they are lovely, but rather expensive. I've got a Clarins Eau de Jardin Splash. It doesn't tell you what type, whether it's an eau de toilette or cologne. It's probably somewhere at the lower end of the strength, but it's lovely, fresh, fruity, greenish, summery notes. Absolutely lovely. And then I've got by an independent brand I got in a market stall in Manchester. It's La Parfume Anglais Amalfi Coast. So that does smell very much a bit 4711-ish, not quite the same, but it's got some lemon, some bergamot in. Really nice. Very light unisex cologne. And then Rose Silence by Miller Harris, which is a UK brand. It's a lovely fragrance. Just a very simple rose note. Absolutely lovely. I did enjoy that. And then we tend to use these once a year. It's one of my favourite all-time fragrances, as is Mr. Bear's Kiehl's Original Musk Blend No. 1. Now this has been discontinued some time, but in the last month or so it has appeared on some websites. So if you are interested in getting this, I'd get onto it now. This came from a recipe that Kiehl's found in the store that they were acquiring when they set the company up, and it had, they say, a recipe for this product, and they released it about 20 years ago, I would say, and I have used it ever since. It is a wonderful animalistic rose, so it's quite sensual, quite earthy, quite body chemistry, quite dirty body sort of fragrance with some floral notes. It is unisex. It's an eau de toilette, but it acts like an eau de parfum. It lasts for hours and hours. I love it on its own or as a blending product, and I share this with Mr. Bear, and I have many of those. So I'm sure these will come up every year, as they have done up to now. So up to now, I have counted that there are 65 products that I've gone through this year. I have excluded, not in counting that because I didn't use that one. So I'll see. I think this is the best year so far for using up makeup and perfume, and we'll see what 2025 brings. But can I say thank you very much for watching, as I do appreciate that your time is valuable. If you've got any comments, anything you'd like to know, please leave it down in the comments below. Like I say, hopefully I shall see you soon. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying your new year. Please take care of yourselves, and bye for now.